What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, man. So I'm hoping for the best for Klay Thompson of the Dallas Mavericks. I hope he's able to turn this around. Um, but we might be seeing the last season of Klay Thompson. Um, we might be seeing the last season of Klay Thompson. This year, over the first 8 games or so of the season, Klay Thompson was averaging a career low 8 points a game. And he was averaging 8 points a game on 32% shooting from the floor, 26% from downtown. To say he was struggling was an understatement. And Jason Kidd asked him to come off the bench, which apparently Klay Thompson seemed okay with. Kidd supposedly told him this might be just temporary. And in Klay's first outing off the bench, I think he scored like 10 points. But he did shoot well, 4 of 7 from the floor. And he shot a little bit better from outside. But look, at this point, I think it's pretty clear that Klay is not the same player. And you don't expect that, obviously. I mean, the guy's, the fact that he's even playing at a professional level after undergoing the severe injuries that he went through, an Achilles rupture, and I think it was Achilles. I think first was the ACL tear, then an Achilles rupture, which is even worse. While he was rehabbing from the ACL injury, I thought he was done. I remember doing videos about it, and I thought he was done. I thought in about a couple of months, Klay was going to announce his retirement, but he came back. He came back. He was not quite the same player, a little bit more limited in his movement, obviously. But Klay's not a guy who had to dribble around a lot or move around a lot. He didn't really, he wasn't a guy that needed a lot of space to create his own shot anyway. So that helped out. But still, age and maybe just the wear and tear of those injuries are starting to take their toll. And, he's just not playing very well. Hopefully, like I said, it turns around. But, Klay is 35 years of age. And not everybody's going to be a dude that's going to play into their 40 at a high level. Generally speaking, when I was growing up, the mid-30s was around the time a lot of guys did begin to decline anyway. But, a lot of these guys, through load management, playing 50 games a year instead of 70 and 80. And, some of these guys are obviously getting help in other ways as far as, vitamins. They're able to play longer. And I know some people, they're going to say Klay's struggling because he's distracted by Megan Thee Stallion. I already know that's coming. At the end of the day, I think Klay is in a good space in his life right now. He's in his mid-30s. He's probably even starting to think about life after basketball. And I do know this. This is one thing I do know. And I remember Isaiah Thomas mentioned this. It may be time to get out of the game when you're not totally focused on the game anymore. I remember Isaiah Thomas said toward the end of the 93-94 season, he was starting to miss practices. He was be out of his deck or something, and the old him, up until that year or maybe the year before, he couldn't wait to go to the gym and practice it, Palace Auburn Hills. he couldn't wait to go to the gym and be in that atmosphere and prepare for the game. But he said he started getting to a point where he wanted to be at home and chilling around his deck, and he was procrastinating. He would get to the game late. And that was a warning sign then, he said, that he was starting to mentally check out of basketball. And he said sometimes when you do that, you set yourself up and not being totally prepared for the rigors of basketball, plus being older, you set yourself up to be in a situation where you could potentially have an injury or another injury. Or, you're just not mentally all there and you're not playing well. You're not totally mentally focused. So I'm only saying that because Klay could be in a situation right now where, like I said, I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. I'm not following the Dallas Mavericks as closely as I should be. And I could be totally wrong, and this thing clears up and Klay get back in the start lineup and he averages 13, 14 points a night. I don't know. I could be wrong. But it could be a sign that, maybe Klay's priorities are changing in life and maybe he's just not as committed to basketball as he once was. And maybe he might, I don't know. I know things aren't going very well with the Dallas Mavericks, as they should be. I know it's to a point now where this is a team that supposedly was a championship contender if they had all their pieces healthy, and now it's to a point where I think they lost again last night, and there's starting to be calls for Jason Kidd to be fired. And look, Klay is a dude that wants to. And I think this is a point I need to make even more strongly than all the other ones I just said. Klay is a winner, man. Klay is a guy that has always been about winning. It's not about stats with him. Although I will mention, in his prime, 2014 to 2019, Klay was a guy that was averaging 21 points a game, 47% shooting, 42% from downtown, 85% from the line, hit some of the biggest shots. It wasn't for Klay. Golden State wouldn't have won all those championships. And it's nothing that Klay Thompson can say. Even the Steph Curry lovers who sometimes seem to hate Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, they always say Michael Jordan never won a championship without Scottie Pippen. Steph Curry never won a championship without Klay Thompson. And so I'm emphasizing that, like, Klay wants to win. And if he's in this part of a situation where they're losing and losing and losing, I don't know. Plus, I forgot to mention, in his prime, Klay was one of the top two-way players at his position. But anyway, just wanted to put this out there, man. Tell what you guys think.